Hello everyone, I am Christine Sator and I will be discussing the types of learning targets and the 3 domains. First, what is learning target? So, learning target is something that can be observed through the behavior of students. And it's also helpful for the adults working with the students. They make easier plan, monitor, and assess students' learning. Learning targets are statements of intended learning which teachers craft to guide the teaching and learning process, and to engage, support, and hold students accountable for their learning. The educational goal of learning target is a very general statement of what students will know and able to know. Now, we will talk about the types of learning. We have 5 types of learning target. First is the knowledge. Second, reasoning, skill, product target, and disposition target. First is the knowledge target. Knowledge target represents factual information knowledge, knowing from memory, and procedural knowledge, knowing how to execute a series of steps. And conceptual understanding, being able to explain a concept. Knowledge target also refers to the facts and concepts are meant students to know. It also includes mastery of facts and information, typically through a recall. Example, what is triangle? It's a concept on how you're able to explain it. On the second target is about reasoning. Reasoning target thought process students are to earn to execute the ability to use knowledge and conceptual understanding to figure things. Students use what they know to reason and solve problems. So they need to execute and understand things and solve problems, like math problem and the comprehension of subject matter. In the reasoning target includes inference, analysis, comparison, classification, evaluation, and synthesis. Skill level learning target. It required the development of physical skill-based and performance-based, and performance at the heart of learning, and knowing how to do something. In short, it requires the development of physical skills such as playing an instrument, reading fluently, or using psychomotor. Example, I can use laboratory equipment safely, or measuring length in metric and US units. Next is the product target. Creation of product is the focus of the learning. Specification of quality of the product itself are the focus of the teaching assessment. This product target addresses the creation of product, such as research paper, models of geometric figures, and work of art. This target addresses the kinds of attitude we want the student have. Example, like of mathematics, science, enjoy reading, and play sports for fun. Now, we will talk about the 3 domains of learning. First is the cognitive domain. Second is the affective domain. And 3 is the psychomotor. Learning is everywhere. We can learn mental skills, develop our attitudes, and acquire new physical skills as we perform the activities of our daily living. These domains of learning can be categorized as cognitive domain, which is knowledge, affective domains, which is attitudes, and psychomotor, which is skills. First, we will talk about the cognitive domain. This is how we acquire, process, and use knowledge. It is the thinking domain. Thinking about facts, terms, concepts, ideas, relationships, patterns, conclusion, and etc. We have 6 categories under this domain. First is knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Example of knowledge. A child recites the English alphabet. Affective domain involves our feelings, emotion, and attitudes. It is the valuing domain. This domain is categorized into 5 subdomains. First is the receiving phenomena, responding to phenomena, valuing, organization, and characterization. Example of receiving phenomena: listening attentively to a friend. Lastly is the psychomotor domain. This domain is a physical movement, coordination, and use of motor skill areas. In short, it's about motor skills and coordinating them. They have 7 categories under this: perception, set, guided, response, mechanism, complex overt response, adaptation, and origination. Perception example: a cook adjusts the heat of the stove to achieve the right temperature of the dish. And that's our topic for today. Thank you for listening. Good day, everyone. Today we will talk about roles of assessment in making instructional decisions. Assessment enhances learning in instructional process if the results provide feedbacks to both students and teachers. Let's talk about on how we are going to use the assessment for instructional decision. The information obtained from the assessment is used to evaluate the teaching methodologies and strategies of the teacher. Assessment is how we identify our learners' needs, document their progress, and how we are doing as a teacher and planners. Here are the 4 roles of assessment in instructional process. First is placement role, diagnostic role, formative role, and summative role. Why we need to evaluate? In the placement role, we need to determine what students are and what they already know. In diagnostic role, we need to determine student weakness for remedial instruction. And in the formative role, we need to determine if the instructional objectives are achieved. And in summative role, we need to determine if the student mastered the objectives for the purpose of giving grade. Placement role is the assessment in the beginning of the instruction. So it used to determine the skills, degree of mastery of the course, the best mode of learning. In this beginning of the instruction, they give a test. This is called the placement test. So this test is given by school to determine the academic or skill level of a student, especially a new student, in order to place them in the correct class or curriculum. This test is what you call the entrance exam. The second one is diagnostic role. So this role is used to diagnose the student's learning difficulties during instruction. What is the purpose of this role? Its purpose is to anticipate potential learning problems and place students in the proper course or unit study. These are types of a diagnostic assessment: pre-test, self-assessment, and interview to each student. Third one is a formative role. It's a type of assessment used to monitor the learning progress of a student during instruction. This assessment helps detect which students need attention. The purpose of formative assessment are the following: continuous feedback, identify learning errors, modifying instruction, improve both learning instruction. The types of formative assessment are quizzes, exam, and recitation. In this role, students expect feedback on their performance and enable them to improve their performance on the same task. Summative role is used to evaluate student learning skill acquisition and academic achievement at the conclusion of defined instructional period, typically at the end of a project or school year. As I've said, this type of assessment usually given at the end of a course unit. The following purpose of a summative role is instructional objectives achieved, certify the student master, provide information for judging, and effectiveness of instruction. Summative role recorded as grades and scores. The types of summative role is final exam, term papers, and projects. Summary of roles in making instructional decision. Placement is a entrance exam. Diagnostic role is a pretest given by a teacher. Formative role is a ongoing assessment of a teacher and students. And last is the summative role is the final exam.